Hello, everyone. Today, we have the absolute pleasure of being joined by Denean Morris, who is the founder of DAM Consulting Services. Denean, welcome to the podcast. So excited to have you on. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here as well. I can't wait to have this conversation with you today, and I'm doing pretty well. I'm in the middle of moving, so I have a lot going on in the background, but yeah, it's exciting. So I'm excited to talk to you today.
Amazing. Perfect. We're really excited to talk to you. Hopefully, we can dive into your background. We can learn more about the business, and hopefully, we can all come away with some knowledge and some value. So, Denny, if you can take us right to the very beginning of your journey of entrepreneurship, where did it all start? We talk maybe childhood to maybe early teens, maybe coming out of school and what that looked like. How did you get into entrepreneurship? Is that something you always wanted to do? Did you get bitten with a bug later down the line? And what does your journey really look like to getting into the position you're in now?
Well, for entrepreneurship, I always knew that from a young age that I wanted to do something different. I wanted to, have a big career, a big life, and I didn't exactly know how that was going to look. I didn't really know that that was going to be entrepreneurship, but I always had that goal and that dream. So I ended up going to school for sociology and I planned to be a social worker. But then when I finished school, I was like, I don't really know if I want to do social work anymore. So I decided to go to business school. So I ended up going to business school to get a master's degree in management. And initially I was thinking, okay, I can use this down the line, like any type of business that I can open, I can use it, whether I stay with in the social field. If I was also thinking about going into psychology and maybe doing some therapy, but I was like, okay, like let's see. I kind of figured out that I was good at logistics and operations, so that's kind of where I took my career at that time. And I started working in IT staffing and operations and logistics, working in banking and operations and logistics. And that was like, okay, like I think I'm really good at this. I think any business can, benefit from having some operations, good operations in their business. So I think this is where I'm going to take it. So I decided to start my business in 2021.
Okay.
And when I started my business, I didn't exactly know what area of operations I was going to be doing. So I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to be an operations manager. I'm going to take on a few clients and then I'm going to see um, what happens. And that's kind of where I got to today. I ended up working with a lot of health and wellness businesses, and that's the area that I'm consulting in today.
Got it. Amazing. Now, your journey of starting the business, how was that? Was that a difficult one? Was there lots of challenges? Was it perhaps a smooth sailing one? And did you have some support with that? What did that process look like of perhaps getting the business up and running? Was it some fear? Was it some doubt? Or was it, I guess, smooth sailing? What did that process really look like?
I can definitely say it was a challenge. Like, I don't have anybody in my family that owns a business that I could go to for advice. So I was really kind of just figuring it out on my own, online and just seeing what I could find. And every step of the way, there was a new challenge. There was something new, like whether it was actually setting up the business or dealing with taxes, it was always just a new challenge along the way. And I think that's probably true for a lot of entrepreneurs, like just figuring it out as you go. But overall, I would say like I'm still learning. Like I still wouldn't say that I'm like the perfect business owner, the perfect entrepreneur. Like I definitely think that there's still a lot to learn. But yeah, the journey has been, I would say, okay, some ups, some downs for sure.
Got it. Amazing. And obviously, the business definitely had grown since you started, and there's probably been some ups and downs. But if you could recall to perhaps one of the most tougher times that you've been through, perhaps one of the most challenging parts, and how that perhaps molded you and allowed you to sort of evolve to deal with sort of the next step up in growing the business. If you look back, has there been one time that you remember and you're quite proud of going through that, or perhaps one that it was a difficult road, but you're glad you kind of knuckled through it?
Yeah, for sure. Um, there was a time where I was actually doing my business part time. So I was working full time and I was doing my business on the side. And, it was a lot of work. I was working like so many hours a day. I was like, okay, this is unsustainable. I really have to make a decision. And this was back in 2023, fall 2023. And I decided that I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go all in on this business. I'm going to take the risk. entrepreneurs, they have this risky spirit about them. I guess I have it too. So I decided that I was going to be like, you know what, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to focus solely on my business. And that was challenging because while I was doing the work, it allowed me to see so many things of like, okay, this is not even what I want to be doing as an operations manager. Like I need to become more specialized. I need to focus on a specific thing that I want to do. But I feel like if I didn't take that leap, then I wouldn't be able to see the bigger picture of like, okay, what am I going to do moving forward? What I'm doing is not really moving the needle as much as I want it to move. And I think being able to just kind of shift and, the decisions you made a year ago may not be the right decisions for today. Like you have to continue to evolve. And I think that's definitely a time where I learned that lesson and, I'm still continuing to learn that lesson today.
Amazing. Now, I guess if we look at more on the market side of things, like trends, shifts that you're seeing, what does that look like in your perspective? Is there a common trend you're seeing, or perhaps a shift in the industry? What is your overall take? And I guess in your niche, in your industry, how do you think business owners kind of are adapting to these changes that are coming? And what are some ways people can get caught out that they need to be aware of so they don't perhaps make the same mistakes others have made? What's, I guess, your overall perspective on market, trends, shifts that are happening currently?
Well, for consultants, I can definitely say there is a trend and moving towards being very specialized, very specific, and very like a subject matter expert in what you're offering. I think there's been a huge shift from just being like a generalist. So, for example, an operations manager being that type of generalist, although it still exists in a fractional framework. Like there's a lot of consultants who are doing fractional work and coming onto businesses for a certain period of time to do all the operations. I do think there's also a shift with more smaller businesses, startups who want very specialized solutions. Like they want someone to come in and solve a very specific problem for them. And I think that moving forward, that's going to continue to be the case. Like people are going to be looking for consultants saying, I have this specific problem. I need to find someone who's going to solve this specific problem and not really come in and look for someone and say, oh, I need help with operations. I need an operations manager. I think they're actually going to be looking for a specialized solution. So I've had to make that shift as well, which I briefly touched upon, but I think a lot of consultants are also making that shift and realizing that they really need to be specializing in something and communicating that as well so that their clients can identify them, find them, and they can be getting the business that they're looking for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, a massive trend that has blown up in the last 10, 15 years, and it's probably a powerhouse of any business, and that's social media. All right. So how important has social media, online presence, being seen and heard in the digital space been to the success of your business and what you do now? What are some ways that you perhaps are seeing businesses not really implement or take advantage of it? And again, what are some pitfalls when it comes to social media that people need to be aware of to avoid getting themselves caught out in the web of social media?
Yeah, for sure. I think social media is so important. I think it's so, so important. I think your presence, your authority, that's the way people are finding you these days. If you don't really have a presence, then you're really just relying on your own personal network or the networking you can do in person, which is really, really good as well. But I do think that when you are getting those referrals and when those are coming in, people are looking to your social media to be like, okay, well, what's this person's credentials? What have they done? What are they saying? Do I think they can help them? People want to really know you and understand you before they work with you, right? So I think it's really, really important, and it builds authority, and even just like not necessarily just social media, but podcasts and YouTube videos, and just having that ability to be, present in all aspects, I think is really, really important.
Got it. Amazing. Perfect. Now, I guess coming on to more business side of things, maybe you can go in a little bit more detail of exactly the probably pains and points that you help business with. And what are some strengths of the business that you feel that are going really well and you're most proud of it, right? Could be anywhere from sales, marketing, operations, deliverables. And what are some areas of the business perhaps you're having some challenges? What does the next hurdle, the next objective look like? And how are you looking to perhaps overcome that for somebody perhaps in a similar position?
Yeah, for sure. So my focus in my business is retention strategy. So I work with health and wellness businesses who want to grow from that startup culture to being more of a scalable, sustainable business. and move from high revenue to high profit. So typically I work with clients and businesses who have a lot of traffic, have a lot of people coming into their business, but they're not necessarily retaining them. So because they're not retaining them, they're kind of on this hamster wheel of constantly always getting new clients, constantly always getting new leads, trying to figure out what the next new thing is for them, when all they really do need to do is just focus on their retention, keeping people in their business, creating a loyal customer base. So that's kind of what I do. And definitely the success that I've had is in client delivery. I think like all consultants and why people decide to become consultants is because they really enjoy client delivery. They really enjoy providing that solution to their clients. But I do think that client delivery it's really a small part of the job as you do as a consultant. I think it's like more about like we were talking about the visibility, the brand, getting in front of your clients, letting them see that you know that you can help them. I think that's kind of sorry.
That's
I
okay.
think that's kind of I think that is the real challenge, like getting in front of your clients, creating that visibility. And that's something that I'm trying to really focus on online because, you want to always continue to bring new customers into your business, especially as a consultant, right? You want to continue to have that referral pipeline and you want people to be able to see that you're an expert and you want to build that authority. And I think that is something that I'm currently working on now. I think it's really great for consultants if you're just starting out to also be thinking about that as well. Um, you know, it's great when you get in front of the client, you can do the work and you can deliver. And I think if you're going to be a consultant, that's a given. And I'm sure that everyone is able to do that. But I really think that what's going to put you above is having that presence online of that authority and the visibility.
Got it. Amazing. Perfect. Now, I guess a massive trend at the minute is AI. Another massive trend, and that's become, I guess, slowly becoming a part of our routine, like brushing our teeth, and it's just becoming routine, something that we go to now for advice and expertise, guidance. So, how important has AI been to your business? Is AI something you're using on a daily basis? Is that part of your system and strategy, or are you perhaps on the other end of the spectrum? Are you kind of on the fence of with AI, and you're kind of thinking maybe it's just a trend and it's here one minute, gone the next? So overall, what are your perspectives? And again, how would you advise somebody or business owners when they're looking at AI? Is this overall positive or is it a net negative in the scope of business, industry, and sort of, being successful in the space?
I definitely think AI is super important. I think the use of AI just makes our lives easier. Like that's the point, and that's what me as a consultant for my clients. That's what I want to do. I want to come in and be like, hey, you don't really have this set up. You don't really have the ability to retain your clients right now. You can do it all, and you don't actually need a person to do it. Like all these things that we're implementing, all this strategy can be implemented through automation and AI. All you got to do is, figure out what exactly is going to be happening. We find the solution, we plug it into your business, and it's running itself, right? So then when you are focusing on getting new clients and getting new leads, they're coming in and the clients are actually staying, and it's not an extra pull from you. It's already set up, it's ready to go. So I think it's really, really important, especially for my business. I think it's key, and I'm pretty sure it's key for a lot of businesses as well. Like I think AI is not going away. I think it's here to stay, and it's going to continue to improve, which I'm excited to see the improvements that come along. And yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I like it. I enjoy using it.
Got it. Amazing. What part of, I guess, AI do you feel there's the most use? Because obviously, when speaking there, there's so much going on in the space, right? There's ChatGPT, Claude, new software coming out every day. But I guess when you're looking at AI for somebody who's just heard of it, it might get confusing. So if you were to give somebody some advice about perhaps, getting into AI and perhaps getting grasp of it, what advice would you give to somebody who's kind of on the fence and perhaps staying away from it because they don't know if it's safe, they don't know what even is AI? So what advice would you give? Would you say, look, yep, stay away, or would you say embrace it? And how would you sort of advise them to go about that challenge?
Yeah, I would definitely say that they should embrace AI. And I think a good starting place is probably Chat GPT. I think if you're trying to get some sort of like brainstorming or trying to talk through your ideas, I think it's really good for that. And I think People underestimate the ability to kind of just like get in your head and like how your brain processes information and just kind of pushes it to the side. I think if you can put it in AI, talk through it a bit, you can be like, okay, like that's a perspective I never thought about before. Like, let me think about this more. Let me research this more. I think it's a great starting place for idea generation, specifically with ChatGPT. And, from there, you have the ability to kind of just research, look more into it. I don't think it's something that you should just use like plainly and say like, hey, do this for me. And then you're taking that and taking it away. I think it's more so about generating ideas, talking through your ideas and trying to expand on what your ideas are, and then taking that back and going the step further to bring it to life.
Got it. Amazing. Now, I guess then if we look towards the future, obviously business has grown massively and you're doing really well and you're going from strength to strength. But what does the future look like, right? Is there some goals on the vision board and are they metric based? You want to achieve X number, then X number? Is it very much just about the impact you're making and the sort of smile you're putting on the client's face? What does the future look like? We're talking maybe the next 6 to 12 months. And then if you're looking on the business perhaps 10, 20 years down the line, what do you want to feel as though you've accomplished and what would you make you most proud when looking back on the success of the business?
Yeah, for sure. So definitely in the short term, I'm most interested in just helping as much businesses as I can build sustainable, scalable businesses. I think there's a stat that's like 5 million businesses are starting up every year in
Oh,
the
wow.
US. And yeah, so I think it's like as businesses come, there's more businesses coming along, and people really need to think about scalability and longevity, right? That's all my business is about, building the business for longevity. So I really just want to help as much businesses as possible, really. Like I love client delivery. That's the best thing about my job and what I do and the work that I give to my clients. So if I'm talking 10 and 20 years down the line, I definitely think that I would love to have a large team under me giving the same client delivery that I'm giving, and really just training people up to be consultants and to give this type of specialized work, because I think it's just so important. Retention is going to be something that's really important to a business, like in many different industries, but especially in the health and wellness industry for
Yeah.
sure. So I think there's a lot of potential to grow, and I'm only one person. I can only do so much. So I would love to have like a large team of people also getting the same solution alongside me.
Got it. Amazing. And I guess, what is the biggest piece of advice you've ever received from somebody? It could be business partner, a client, mentor, family even, or perhaps the biggest lesson you've learned in your journey so far that's really molded you and taught you the most to be, adapt your mindset wise to be able to become the business owner you are today.
Yeah, that's a great question. I can definitely say that shifting your mindset from you need to be 100% perfect to show up, to be visible, to help your clients is something that can hold you back. There are so many times where I haven't done things or I've held back on things because it wasn't perfect. And it's just something that now lives in the back of my memory, right? It didn't bring anything. But I think with consistency and, showing up and doing your best, even if you think that, you want to be nitpicky, just still put it out there instead. Take those risks. Try to talk to as many people as you can. I definitely think it is a business that you continue to learn, and you will never get to a point where you're going to be 100% perfect. I think that's really, really important to know. And yeah, what I would say.
Amazing. Perfect. Well, Janine, thank you so much for your time today in the podcast. I've really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for the value, the detail you've gone into. I'm sure everybody listening has really enjoyed the conversation, found a lot of value. So is there any closing comments or thoughts or anything you might have for anybody listening, perhaps clients or maybe even people interested in what you have to do or team members or any of such people in your network? Is there any closing comments or thoughts you might have for anybody listening?
Yeah, for sure. So I love talking to people. So if anybody wants to message me, find me on social media, it's Dam Consulting Services on Instagram, Dam Consulting Services on LinkedIn. Send me a DM, comment on my stuff. I would love to speak to you and talk to you. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Amazing. Well, Janine, thank you once again for your time. And thanks for everyone tuning in today. We'll catch you everyone next time. Bye bye.